I'm talking about this and these other movies today. James is still talking about Ezra Pound, and he's eating waffle with saskatoons.
Those were home picked, right?
Yes. So, yeah, they were picked quite a long time ago and frozen, and yeah, thawed out.
They're from Lethbridge, right? We picked them up.
Yes.
You picked them some, but
Yes,
I
I
picked
did.
a few. Yeah. I'm not very good at finding good bushes.
Yeah, but that's the oatmeal waffle that I was telling you about, and it's delicious. And you can see one of them fell apart on me, but it'll still taste good.
Well, that's all.
So,
and it still looks pretty good. You know, like you did divide one cup into quarters.
Yes, I did.
So it looks kind of like a fan or something like that.
Yeah, like a windmill thing. Anyway.
Kind of a windy day, maybe it's appropriate.
Yeah, it is a little breezy now.
We're not minding it though.
No,
Yesterday it was about 10 below.
And now
Today,
it's 10 above. Yeah, so that's
so
great.
That's centigrade for you folks who are watching south of the border, not down Mexico way.
Okay, so Speak No Evil. This stars James McAvoy, which I think he's actually a pretty good actor.
McAvoy?
I don't know how you say that.
I don't know how they say it. It's Irish, you know, the M-A-C tends to be Irish.
Anyway, this movie. This was one of the best horror movies. I don't know if they're calling it horror or thriller or
He looks like Jack Nicholson
whatever.
in The Shining in the back there.
This is, it's so realistic. You're watching it, and there's a couple parts where I was like, okay, well, is that even possible? I'm not going to give it away what I was thinking was even possible, but I don't know about that, so I'd have to look it up, and I'm tempted to actually. Anyway, but there's this. You're watching it and you're thinking this could actually be real, right? This could happen, and that makes it all the more frightening. And so after watching this, you know how usually you watch a horror movie, you lay in bed and you just kind of like, whatever, and it just goes. This one stayed with me. I was laying in bed going, this could happen, you know, and it was, so it didn't leave, you know, I didn't have that, whatever, it's just a dumb horror movie kind of experience afterwards, right? Which, yeah, so really disturbing, believable, and scary. And the acting was great. The story was great. I mean, the writer dotted his I's and crossed his T's and made sure everything worked. It was incredible. So, but like I said, there were a couple spots that I went, maybe not, right? And that might be a good thing, because you're left feeling like, oh my gosh, this could happen. And so maybe it's good to have a couple of spots where you're like, oh, maybe it's not possible, right? Anyway, Moonflower Murders. So I guess this was based on a bestseller. It says at the bottom, and I don't care for the series that much. I guess it's this detective that like this book detective or whatever that's he's not real, but she's imagining is real. And so you're watching it and you're going, okay, well, I don't really understand what's going on when he's talking sometimes, and she's talking to herself, and aren't people wondering, oh, why is she talking to herself? Anyway,
These
so
things
that's,
happen all the time.
I suppose that's true.
When you see someone like that in the street nowadays, you don't have them committed. You just walk by, really gingerly, and hope they don't notice you.
Well, a lot of the time they're probably on the phone. So
nowadays it could be.
It could,
but
yeah.
That's pretty insane too, in a different kind of way.
True. Yeah. So maybe it is believable that people wouldn't do anything because they just think, oh, she's on the phone. Anyway, the mystery though, I did like it okay. There was right at the end when she mentions that the author put so many things in that for a person to notice along the way. I was like, yeah, I sort of noticed, but I didn't notice them all when she was showing. So I thought, well, that's kind of good, right? So it leaves you with, good mystery at the end, right? Or good enough. The Watchers. Now, I don't like M. Night Shyamalan movies. I've talked about them before. I like the idea. I like his name, and so I'm always drawn to his name because it's a good name. But especially for writing scary sort of things.
You think it's a pseudonym or something like that?
Well, it could very well be, but it's a great name for doing scary sort of movies or whatever.
Yeah,
but
interesting.
The movies that he does, they're not great. And I mean, I've watched some and went, oh, well, that one's okay or whatever. And this one, I guess it's okay, but also quite stupid. So I don't know. Is it worth watching? Not really. None of his movies are. I haven't found one that deserves to be top of the stack, so at the same time, I guess I'll keep watching them because I do. The People's Joker. So this says at the top, the best superhero movie I've ever seen, by Richard Brody, The New Yorker.
And I noticed you had it at the bottom.
Bottom of the stack. I like some of the things about this movie. The fact that the Joker, who's not the Joker in this, the Joker in this is this person, and this is the Joker Harlequin or whatever. I don't know, or the Joker's Harlequin. I'm not sure what this person. I can't remember what they. Yeah, I didn't really care that much.
They've run out of ideas with the Jokers.
No, this had nothing to do with that. So what this is it's transgender movie that, and I like the idea of the Joker character being a messed up sort of.
Well, I don't know if it's supposed to be messed up by transgender. Isn't that politically incorrect?
Well, in this case, this person was. So, well, both the Joker and the Harlequin Joker or Joker Harlequin or whatever. Okay. And so I don't know. But there are all sorts of characters in this. Like the Batman's messed up, and there's a lot of characters that are messed up in this. But yeah, and I like the idea about the comedians being people that nobody should ever have a relationship with because they're mean. I think that's probably true.
Comedians can be some more than others.
Yeah.
I mean, some are pretty sweet, like Eddie Murphy's pretty sweet.
Well, he seems really charming. I don't know.
Yeah. Mike Myers, he's pretty sweet.
You're right.
But then there's the Don Rickles type, and so on and so forth. So I think it's hard to generalize. But
it is. But
like Robin Williams seems sweet, but apparently he was bipolar. Did he kill himself or something like that? Well, very sad.
I don't know what happened there. Poor guy. Anyway, I think it's kind of tough to love the heroine or whatever of this story, the narrator, main character, whatever, because Well, she's talking about how her boyfriend was, abusive for this reason, whatever. I was sitting there thinking, okay, but you wanted to join, like, become a comedian without having any comic talent, so you just want to be on stage and look at me and whatever, and I really have a hard time with the look at me types.
Well, there are a lot of stand-up comedians that way, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to have the meat to hang the stuff on before you actually get up there, right? Anyway, some things were kind of funny in this. The animation was not very good. And it had a really low budget feel to it, even without the poor animation and stuff like that. So I don't know. It just didn't work as well as I'd hoped. And I watched it right through the end. The ending is even worse. Anyway, whatever. The mother was a little bit over the top, and honestly, yeah, whatever. Didn't care for it. That's all.
So some of it's animated?
There's some animated parts and stuff like that, yeah. And they didn't work well. So, anyway, I'm going to put you over to James, who's going to talk to you about Ezra Pound some more. And you have 17 minutes if the battery doesn't run out, so enjoy.
So no cantos yet or anything like that?
I put it on hold for you, James. It's coming from Edmonton, so I don't know how long
have it here
take.
at the local library. They've got all sorts of stupid
You
stuff.
want them to own a copy of Cantos?
They should, because it's historical garbage. Yeah?
Okay. Well, enjoy.
They've got all sorts of really bad.
How do you like that oatmeal waffle?
Oh, it's awesome.
I know, eh? It's the best one I've made.
I really don't want to do presentation. I want to be stuff in my face like this. One last bite in there. Almost small. So, I'm speaking with my mouth full. Got about half an hour. No, quarter of an hour. Someone must have put the news out that I was going to be doing. Hopefully, the cops won't cop me in irons here.
All right. Well, this is the oatmeal. It's a muffin mix, but I made it into waffles, and it works so well. I bought it
better
for
than waffles.
$1.99 a bag on clearance. So worth it.
We should get something like that formula, mess it around a bit, and call it better than waffles. But it's a waffle mix because it's better than waffles. Are you kidding me, folks? Anyway, Ezra Pound is a difficult individual, but for a little while we're going to talk about another difficult individual. And Ezra Pound was arrested for treason, and he did nothing he did commit treason, and like I say, he should have been life in prison. It really should have been a sentence of death, but automatically commuted. That's what I believe in. When you're doing treason in wartime, or when you're doing like Cold War treason, and it's been Cold War with Putin since 2014. Once he invaded Ukraine, and really probably since 2011, when he was doing state terrorism, was doing it up until a few weeks ago in Syria, causing a huge humanitarian crisis. Unfortunately, most of the people that were on the move were at the very least supporters, if not actual members of something that would be the moral equivalent of fascism or Nazism. The fundamentalists, they look like extreme fundamentalists who've come over here from Syria. There were, I'm sure, cases, I read about one case of one gay fellow in a refugee camp from Syria, I think it would have been located in maybe Jordan, and he was being abused by his fellow refugees. So, of course, we in our infinite wisdom would have taken the gay guy, but then taken his abusers, and guess what? They're going to abuse that gay guy if they get hold of him, but they'll abuse gay people too. Yeah. So, before we get to Donald Trump, who should be have been arrested, tried, and put in prison a long time ago for life imprisonment, really, for treason against. My position is they'd have to do it, treason against the United States, but it's not a question of nationalism, it's a question of democracy. Treason against a democratic state. It's absolutely shameful, inexcusable, and there's enough of a traffic. Really, people who deal with mafia are dealing with a foreign entity, and Donald Trump's dad dealt with the mafia, as did Donald Trump. It looks as though that's the basically Sicilian mafia in New York and stuff like that. Originally, there were several different groups in the United States. It was starting probably more than 100 years ago, but it got real heavy with prohibition in the United States. And three main groups, I gather, it's not me, I just read, it's the Italians, part Irish, the Irish, sadly, people like Meyer Lansky, Jews, but I think say much about the Irish, they don't have much to commend themselves, really. Culturally, yeah, but scientifically, but Jews, as I've said before, anywhere they've been, this is since they lost their land, and this goes back to 135 AD. It's been a long time. They've blessed the societies they've been in. Every so occasionally in Spain, from what I can tell, they helped the Muslims come in. This is what the sources seem to indicate. A long time ago, about 711 AD. And then from what I can gather, I'm just figuring it out, some of them collaborated the way that some Koreans did with the Japanese spread of their hegemony through much of the Far East, and maybe even a little bit further. They were knocking on the doors of India. So Southeast Asia to the Pacific. And, like if you ever have seen the movie or heard about the movie, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. I've actually written, read a book written by a Canadian who was victimized by the same creepy individual, Slime and Blood were their nicknames. One of them was Japanese, but the other was Korean. Collaborating in close to the worst possible way, committing atrocities and stuff like that. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, starring David Bowie, did a good job in that, better than he did in all of his music pretty well since Ziggy Stardust, maybe Diamond Dogs or something like that. It was all downhill for him from there. Eventually it was so downhill he ended up 6 feet. But we're going to talk about Donald Trump right now. Treason. I wish his handlers, I can't say advisors, because I'm afraid he's like a little baby, if they've got a suggestion, they'll say, we know that you want to do this or something. I don't know what it would. Give him a lollipop or something like that. But I'm going to be checking out. They were saying on the radio, you got to be careful about the radio, but this was a station that kind of specializes in economic news. I think it's something like